While making these review videos of Making a Murderer, the Netflix documentary, I've discovered some other information that I've either missed or forgot about, and I want to be as fair as possible. Now, obviously, the Netflix documentary drives their narrative. Making a Murderer's producers drive their own narrative, which they believe to be true and factual. But there are other narratives out there as well, and I want to try and get as much information as I can out to as many people as possible. It doesn't matter what I believe to be correct or false. If there's news out there on a reputable website done by reputable people, I want to present it so that everybody has all of the information. Now, while I was making today's video, episode 5, I discovered a case that Andrew Colborn is suing Netflix. Now, this is from a few years ago. And again, I may have heard of this at the time. I don't remember. It's 3 years ago. Making a Murderer. Retired Manitowoc County Sheriff's Lieutenant Andrew Colborn sues Netflix and Filmmakers. This is a story from the Manitowoc County Herald Times. Retired Manitowoc County Sheriff's Officer Lieutenant Andrew Colborn is suing Netflix and Making a Murderer producers for defamation, saying he's been subjected to worldwide ridicule, contempt, and disdain since the release of the documentary 3 years ago. Now, I totally get why he wouldn't be happy with it. He is definitely not portrayed in the best light, to say the least. It goes on to say, although the Netflix series might have been a professional success for its creators, producers, and distributors, it's added another layer of tragedy to what is already a painful episode for our community and has poured salt on the wounds of Halbach's family. Colborn hopes to alleviate some of the family's pain with the lawsuit. The lawsuit states, pertinent and significant aspects of Making a Murderer are not true as represented. Instead are false and defamatory toward plaintiff and others. Material and significant facts known to the defendants were omitted and distorted. Now, they are stating that this was done intentional to drive the narrative of the Making a Murderer documentary. The lawsuit specifically calls into question the serious portrayal of Andrew Colborn's November 3rd, 2005 call to the dispatch, which I actually just went over in the last episode. So it's good that I'm discovering this information now. November 3rd, 2005 call to dispatch. The discovery of the key to Halbach's SUV in Avi's bedroom on November 8th, 2005. Also a 1994 or 1995 telephone call and subsequent cover-up that the lawsuit said led viewers to falsely conclude that Colborn learned of Avery's 1985 wrongful convictions approximately 8 years before he was released, but covered it up. And Making a Murderer's omission, distortion of material, and significant evidence effects. Colborn's lawsuit focuses on what it says are discrepancies between Colborn's court testimony regarding his November 3rd, 2005 call to dispatch for the search of Halbach's SUV on the Avery property, and the way the testimony was portrayed in Making a Murderer. Colborn had been called to the Avery salvage yard to assist in the search for the SUV, and the call to dispatch was to confirm make, model, and license plate number. Now, in the documentary, it shows that it seems like Andrew Colborn had already seen the SUV before it was discovered. That's what they're showing you in the documentary. Dispatch wants to confirm make, model, and license plate number of the vehicle. The lawsuit said the SUV was found on the Avery property November 5th via volunteer search party. That was Pamela. She's the one that found the SUV. Among other distortions, it states that the plaintiff's answer to one question was removed and his answer to another question was inserted. According to the lawsuit, the documentary's rendition of the testimony is as follows. Avery's attorney: well, you can understand how someone listening to that might think you were calling in a license plate that you were looking at on the back of the 1999 Toyota. Plaintiff Andrew Colborn says yes. The lawsuit states that's not how that happened. The lawsuit states in the actual trial, the court sustained the state's objection and defense counsel rephrased it as follows. Avery's attorney: this call sounded like hundreds of other license plate or registration checks you have done through dispatch before. Plaintiff answered, that's Andrew Colborn, yes. The lawsuit, so it looks like they didn't air anything from the objection forward, they just aired the first part of the questioning. The lawsuit also said its filmmakers strategically spliced reaction shots of plaintiff appearing nervous and apprehensive at the trial into other portions of his testimony where he did not actually appear nervous or apprehensive. The lawsuit also discussed the vial of blood that was portrayed in the first season of Making a Murderer. They also discuss the bedroom key. Netflix states it took multiple searches before James Lank and Lieutenant Colborn found the key that was supposedly out in the open. Colborn's lawsuit states Filmmakers inaccurately portrayed the discovery of the key to Halbach's SUV in Avery's bedroom by Colborn and Manitowoc County Sheriff's Officer James Lank on November 8, 2005. The bedroom had been searched days earlier and the key not found, but the lawsuit states Lank and Colborn had been sent to another search of the room for evidence more remotely connected to the crime, including pornographic material, when they found the key on the floor by the bookcase. So the lawsuit states Filmmakers filmed the entire trial and were aware of the full line of questioning concerning the circumstances of the plaintiff and Lank finding Halbach's ignition key in Avery's bedroom, as well as its significance. They chose to fabricate testimony by splicing or omitted those portions not consistent with their false and defamatory accounts of facts. But this part confuses me slightly because they did search the room more than once. They didn't find the key the original time. I don't know how long the warrant was good for. Generally, you search it and then it gets released back to the owners. Now, this lawsuit does not state how many times they searched it before they found the key. It does state that it was more than once, but it's not specifically, I think they said it was 8 times. It was on the 8th time it was found in the documentary. So that's not clear to me. It says that they did search it more than once because they were sent back to look for other material. 1994 or 1995 telephone call and subsequent cover-up. Now, in the early episodes, it said that a phone call was placed and Andrew Colborn was made aware of a situation 8 years before Stephen Avery was released, and the documentary led you to believe that Avery could have been released at least 8 years before he was because of this particular phone conversation. Colborn's lawsuit states, Filmmakers, acting separately and in concert with other defendants, led viewers to falsely conclude that plaintiff learned of Avery's 1985 wrongful conviction approximately 8 years before he was released, but covered it up. By doing so, defendants created a false motive for the plaintiff to plant evidence, making their central but false claim that the plaintiff and other officers framed Stephen Avery, making it more believable. As a corrections officer in Manitowoc County in 1994 and 1995, Colborn had received a call from detectives in another jurisdiction stating a jail inmate told a fellow inmate that he was responsible for a sexual assault for which another man was convicted. The lawsuit states Colborn does not believe the caller mentioned the name of the man convicted or the name of the victim in Manitowoc County assault. If he did, plaintiff was unfamiliar with those names. The lawsuit added plaintiff had no reason to and did not know about Avery's 1985 sexual assault conviction when he received the phone call from the detective. He was not employed by MTSO until 1992, meaning he wasn't an employee of Manitowoc County's Sheriff's Department in 1985. He didn't get a job there until 1992, 7 years later. So it goes on from there. It's a fairly lengthy article, and I will link it in the description below where you can go have a read for yourself. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.